Hello again, my name is John Hampshire. I'm a cycling and running coach, and I work with athletes at all levels to help them work towards predominantly ultra endurance long distance events. I also work with paracyclists, having coached Karen Dark, the Paralympic world champion in Rio 2016. Claire and I provide one-to-one virtual coaching using internet-based tools with face-to-face meetings to help people work towards challenging goals in a sustainable and healthy way. I post a video every Tuesday, and if you like this one, please like and subscribe. We often get asked how long it takes to recover from a given event, particularly ultra endurance events. And like most things in endurance sport, it depends. A good way to think about this is that if you think about your first run or your first ride where you were challenging or pushing the boundaries, how long did it take you to recover from that? But now, if you've been training for a while, the same distance at the same speed might seem like nothing to you. It might be a very easy day. It might be one of your recovery days, or it might be something you could do twice in one day. So things change, and the amount of time it takes you to recover from something changes as well. And just because an ultra endurance event or a big event might seem like a one-off, the same principles hold. So it still takes a certain amount of time to recover, but that amount of time varies with you as an individual, what level of training you've done, how used to doing this type of event you are. And of course, it also depends what you do during that time. We had some quite good discussions on our Monday night workshop with our training group. One of the cyclists has just done All Points North, and he's wanted to get on and get going again, and he's preparing for the summer solstice. So he wants to get back into training, but it's a case of he's got to take the time to recover, and that came through in our discussions, and he's been very sensible about it. He's doing all the right things, and he's now planning to do a 300-kilometre Audax next week, and he should be in good shape for the 1000 summer solstice. It's okay to have rules of thumb, but I don't really like to prescribe a certain recovery process. So rather than have a fixed goal or fixed periods of time, I have a recovery protocol. So you might find this protocol useful. First of all, we work with an unstructured period, so you take some time off, don't do anything for a bit until you feel like doing something, and then a period of unstructured training. So it's not really training, it's a case of just getting out and doing something, doing the activity, and see how your legs feel, see how your body feels, see how you feel mentally, see whether you really enjoy it or it's just a grind to get through it. And then once you've got a bit of feedback on how things are going, you can decide whether to go out again the next day or you need more recovery. And then when you're feeling comfortable with a low intensity exercise, it's time to try and have a bit of a dig, work a bit harder, and see how that goes. And the way to do that is just in training. If you're just out for a ride or a run and you feel like going a bit faster, then that's a good sign. So go a bit faster, see what happens. What you might find actually is if it's too early, if you're not really recovered, if you're still in the recovery process, you feel okay for the first bit because you feel a bit enthusiastic, but then your legs start aching and your breathing might not be right, or you just don't feel right, and you can tell then that you're working a bit harder than you probably should be. And if you need more recovery, go back to doing the low intensity exercise, because the low intensity exercise obviously isn't damaging you. You're able to handle it, but you can't handle the high intensity stuff. Eventually, when you can go hard for maybe a minute or 5 minutes or something like that, and it feels like normal, then it's time to try a structured training session, substructured intervals. Pick a session that you've done before. You know what it should feel like, roughly what it should feel like. If that goes well, if it feels how it should feel, then you're ready to start building up back into training. So start with some sort of base routine. So basically getting down to some sort of baseline where you might do 4 shortish endurance sessions a week, 1 harder session, maybe an interval session or a fartlek or something like that, and 1 longer session. And once you get into that routine, if it's working for you, do a couple of weeks of that, start building up the volume, and then start building up the intensity. It's important to bear in mind that recovery from a big load, a big event, isn't necessarily linear, and also you can have a relapse. Things can seem to be going well, and then you find that you're really heavily fatigued again, and that might be because you've done too much too soon, or it might just be some sort of thing that you've done as a stressing event, or stress levels have built up. So remember, you need to be prepared to take a step back if things aren't going as you would hope, and go back to the recovery protocol. Easy endurance, have a little bit of a dig. If that goes well, back to some interval training sessions, and then hopefully you're back on your way again. Don't have any fixed goals. It's important not to try and have any fixed goals of how fast you want to recover and what events you want to be ready for, unless they're well into the future. Don't rush things, because if you put too much pressure on yourself, you'll be tempted to rush things, and you might end up in trouble and overtrained. For big events, it can take a surprisingly long time. For most people, it only takes a few weeks, but it is important to remember that just because your Strava freshness or your Training Peaks freshness is positive, it doesn't mean to say that you recovered. And if you can get a helper to help you with it, then that's really helpful. Somebody can be objective, more objective than you can be. That can be very helpful. And that is one of the benefits of our training group, and a great benefit of having a one-to-one coach. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it helps get the message out to other people. If you want to have a 20-minute chat with me about your goals and how we might be able to work together, then you can follow the link in the description. And I'll see you next time. Bye.